Hello, friends, and welcome back to the Passionpreneur series. I'm your host, Brandy, and I gotta tell you, I truly believe that today's episode is going to be the most important conversation we could have. As a small business owner, I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I spend a lot of time, still to this day, too much time in my business, on the task, thinking, not so much thinking small, but just too much in my business instead of looking at it from a broader vision. And I cannot stress to you how important having a bigger vision for your business is. And a lot of that to me comes from strategy. As a small business owner, it's so easy to get wrapped up, especially when you're wearing all the hats. I get it. We both get it. we're all in the same boat. But when you can take that step back and really see the people that are in your business, your customers, your product, your service, how you want to show up in the world, that changes everything. And again, that goes back to being strategic and intentional. So I'm really excited to have the guest that we have today on the show, Ozioma. Hello, my dear.
Hello, hello, hello.
All the way from Portugal. This is probably our longest long distance interview that we're going to have on this series. I am so grateful that you're here, that you had time and you're here to share your knowledge, your wisdom, your expertise, everything. You guys, this is such a gift. Ozioma is, first of all, an amazing human being who's up to some really, really big things. But on a business side, she's an internationally known business strategist. She's a TEDx speaker, keynote speaker, best-selling author. And I mean, the list just goes on. We could spend half the show just talking about your credentials, to be honest. But what I really love and I'm just really attracted to with your service, your offer, is the place you come from. It's all from heart. It's real, and you feel that. And I love that your business is your framework is based on transformation.
Absolutely.
Because that is huge. And that to me just goes back to mindset. It goes back to, we just spoke about Tony Robbins. It's how you're showing up. It's the state that you're keeping yourself in. Because as a business owner, the person you go into your business as has to transform as your business changes.
Absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
crucial. So I am stoked. I feel like this should be the framework for any type of business show, podcast, anything. Like, this is where it starts. From here, you can excel and go anywhere with your business. So I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to hand it over to you. Ozioma, I would love for you just to tell us more about you. Everything, let's just dive in.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Brandy, for inviting me to be on your amazing summit, your series, and just being able to convene people around the important word that is passion. Because when we talk about, not just getting in business, but staying in business, passion plays a crucial role in it. The way in which even your customers are attracted to you, how your employees show up for you, how your collaborators and your strategic partnerships operate, and how that all works together. It is all stemming from desire. It's stemming from passion. And, I just think it's an amazing conversation to be speaking about how do we take that passion and how do we turn it into strategy, right? Strategic action steps, strategic intention that then delivers results. Because at the end of the day, yes, one of the results is the transformation of the individual, right? The entrepreneur. But the other is the way in which your products, your services, how you show up for an entire business ecosystem, how it transformed the ecosystem itself. And I think one of the biggest things that so many entrepreneurs don't really pay attention to is that you are participating in an entirely larger ecosystem than just the system you're building itself. You are contributing to a larger narrative. That narrative is the larger narrative of business, but also it is the narrative of how, especially small businesses, how they contribute to the transformation of local economies, they contribute to the transformation of a larger economy, and they contribute to the transformation of the world. And so we are in the business fundamentally of transformation when we choose to step into this domain that is entrepreneurship.
Absolutely. Ah, this is gonna be good. So as you know, a lot of our audience is, I call them baby entrepreneurs. They're 1 to 2 years in, they're still figuring it out, or they're still deciding if they want to go into it. This still might be a side hustle for them.
Mhm.
What are some things that you want to share just to get started? Like where should our head be in the beginning?
Wow, that's a great question. Sometimes when you get so caught up asking or get often asked the big picture, more advanced strategies where you have to kind of take it down to the basics. Uh, I'm going to go there and I'm going to go into, again, actually doing what I'm doing right now. You first have to be able to get to an awareness of who are you truly trying to serve or what really excites you about bringing a specific gift that you may have. And when I say your gifts, it could be something that you believe that you possess that you want to bring out into the world. It could be something that you see doesn't exist and you want to create it. And I think that's kind of where we begin. We begin with a sense of what is it within me that I desire to co-create or to create and to introduce into the world? Or is there something, a gap, a problem, a challenge that I believe in that I want to address? And when we start from there, right, where is the need? Then you have to then look at who are, if, for lack of a more elegant term, who are the needers, right? Who are the people who need that service?
Right.
And really from, again, design thinking and human-centered design, really trying to understand. I think not enough entrepreneurs they focus so much sometimes on their passion, their desires, and what they think should be done, that they don't actually take the time to really understand who is it for? How can it serve? And so to me, if we go down to the very fundamental basics of the business, it is about understanding, what it is you would like to contribute, who it is you're trying to serve, and also a fundamental understanding of yourself as you are right now. Like, who are you? How do you work? What are some of the naughty behaviors that you have that won't serve you? Because I think so often when an entrepreneur isn't actually doing their own homework to really understand like what is the what about themselves, then they can trick themselves into not actually designing a business that truly supports and serves who they are and helps them shine. I'm all about, my company's called BurnBright. So it's all about how do you show up and shine and how do you ignite better lives and brighter businesses. And so I think those three pieces to me are the fundamentals. And when we talk about who you are, you also have to think about what resources do you have, because your resources in a business become the extension of who you are, because that's what you're working with. So it's kind of like, who do you want to serve? What do you got? And what are you working with? Right? Your mindset, your resources, your relationships, because especially at the beginning stages, you will have to leverage the heck out of everything you got. Everything, your tools, your technologies, your relationships. And you may feel like, oh, I don't want to make that phone call. I don't want to reach out to that person. But by reaching out to that person back and leveraging that relationship, that could be something that transforms the state of your business. And so there's so much, but to me, those are the foundational elements, focusing on really understanding yourself and all your resources, understanding what it is you seek to address, whether it's something that you have that you want to bring forth or something that you see is a problem, a challenge that needs to be addressed in the marketplace, and then fundamentally really understanding your customer. But one thing that I will also add to that, which is kind of like a double click on customer, is most often people think of the customer as a singular individual. And yes, when you write your copy, it's better when you're focusing on the individual and you have this person in mind, but you also have to think about the pack, the tribe, right? Because that person does not exist individually. That person exists within a chorus, right? Within a community, within a tribe. And so as you identify the individual, you also have to think about what is the surrounding context of that individual, because quite often, if you can speak powerfully to that individual's culture and that with a tribal message, you actually really help them to understand that you are connected to them and that you guys are one. And that oneness energy, that oneness communication is so essential, for customers, so essential for strategic partnerships. It's essential everything for, I would say for right now, because so much of it is so tribal and group oriented and group based.
So how do we start that? I mean, how do we begin to do that research where we are looking beyond just that singular customer.
Mhm. Well, I would say you want to look, I mean, there's so many different places, right? I used to be, I think you know this, I used to be a vice president of cultural insights and innovation at a Madison Avenue agency. So I also do have a gift of being able to understand cultural trends. But I would say fundamentally, you can just do it by first and foremost, once you have a sense of who that person is, right, in your awareness, then you want to think about, okay, what kinds of media do they consume? Right? Because the media and the way in which they're taking in those influences and contributing, that truly is speaking to the nature of their communities, right? So let's say, your audience is a woman of color. Maybe she's an African American woman living in New York City, in Brooklyn, right?
Mhm.
Who is arts based and really believes in community, but also believe and also not only does she believe in community, she's also very much into music and very much into underground culture. So you want to get so specific, and then you want to say, okay, what's happening in that world? So what's the nature or the truth about Brooklyn today? Right? What's the nature of artistic experiences in Brooklyn today? What's its relationship with what came before? Where do we think that it's going? And you always want to do that. And whoever you're trying to speak to, you want to look at the current state of affairs, right? You can type in certain keywords. You can also do Google Alerts. That's one quick way that you can start to get Google Trends, right?
Yeah.
The Google Trends site. There's also tools. I mean, I'm also very, very, very big on tools, and people are constantly asking me my references because I also engage in very early stage technology. So there's things like Content Studio, which are platforms that can help you really, you type in a couple of keywords. Something that isn't a paid, that's free is Pop URLs. POPURLS.com. And again, you want to go, if your audience is someone who's very technological or science based or entrepreneurship based, maybe you're looking at Fast Company, right? Maybe you're looking at, you're looking at Fast Company, you're looking at Entrepreneurship Magazine, you're looking at Success Magazine when it existed in its powerful, powerful space. Right now, it's just doing more of the online stuff. But like, you want to think about that. You want to think about what are the archives and what are the spaces where you can look at media. You want to also think about podcasts, right? Maybe also you want to go into some of the Facebook groups and really engage in the communities that some of the people you admire that you also want to serve. So for instance, if you feel like there's an audience that's similar to the Marie Forleo audience, or maybe a Iyanla Vanzant audience, you want to think about their experiences that they're offering, join one of their challenges, join one of their groups, maybe sign up for one of their programs, and then be able to get a sense of who are those people that are showing up in that space, because those people might end up being the same audiences that you serve. You also can do a survey, as you know, right?
Yes.
Really kind of go out there and do a customer survey, to kind of, not even a customer survey, but do a target audience survey to try to understand like what are some of their needs and problems that they would like to have solved.
Wow. So just off the bat, I can already, I'm hearing some of the audience members and they're like, this is a full-time job right here. I just wanted to open up my shop or, turn on the
Yeah,
website.
of course. And again, I'm speaking about it as someone who goes deep, and also somebody who is at times obviously hired to go deep and to give this level of consultation. But I would say if it's too much for you, you don't have, how do I say this? Like, the more you know who you really want to serve, the easier it gets, because you become so streamlined.
Yes.
And so to me, that's part of the reason why you want to be specific, you want to be intentional, because you don't have all day. You know what I mean? But the
Right.
quickest way, I mean, I would say the shortcut to it is to find someone you admire who's maybe 5 or 7 steps before you,
Mhm.
and really pay attention to what they're doing and who's gravitating towards them. And then try to begin to create your offer that is not about mimicking what they do, but taking what they do as inspiration, and then finding a way for you to do it in your own style, and see also who becomes attracted to what it is you're offering, you know? And yes, I think the more intentional we can be, the more actually we feel like we're not trying to do everything, we're trying to do the right things. And
Uh,
when you're doing the right things, you become essenceful. You become very, very elegant in your solutions. I'm always telling people there are elegant solutions everywhere. And it is our responsibility to really be like, wait a minute, is this getting too difficult or too complicated? Am I trying to do too much? Questioning that will then also allow for you to pare down. And of course, you're going to end up having to potentially hire a VA, right? A
mhm.
virtual assistant, or maybe do a trade with someone who's a friend who maybe does social media marketing, or does another skill that you feel you don't want to have to build up the skill set in. So yeah.
So getting back to your business, your program,
Mhm.
your framework, how do we burn bright? Like, what does that actually mean? How do we tap into that?
Yeah. So there's many different ways, fundamentally, when I first began my business, it was definitely as if I was being given a special task, right? In the world, right? Special mission. And I truly believe that the work that I do has come from a mission that I accepted when I was about 25 years old, right? And it's been many, many, many years. People look at me like, "Oh, you look so young." I have no problem saying at the taping of this, I am. No, I'm 39 years old, and people would never expect that I'm 39, but I am. I'm very proud of being that age. But when I was 25, and that also gives you a sense of that I've been doing this for, much over a decade, about 14, 15 years. And when I began, it was very clear that in order for us to truly step fully into our power, into our premise, our promise, we really needed to show up in a new light.
Mm,
And it had to come from within. Your unique identity, your unique offer, your unique capacities. And so what happened is I began to develop a methodology that was akin to helping people identify what is that unique desire and the unique skill set, and how do they help that shine, right? How do they really ignite that from within and allow that to shine? So fundamentally, what it means to burn bright is it means to be able to identify your unique, I would say, quality, your unique essence, and be able to really cultivate that and to hone that and to work with that energy and enable that to be what you lead from, what you're sourced from. And then as you communicate and you develop that, everything else begins to emanate from that. So the first piece about it, whether you're talking about burning bright from, your own personal, confidence, or if you're talking about how do I actually ignite, the first step is to select your candle, right? In the same way you select a candle, whether it's for example, if I were to say, what are some of your favorite candles? What would you say?
oh, like brands or smells?
It can be, describe it. Is
Earthy.
it skinny? Is it tall? It's earthy.
Oh, it's
Okay. It
earthy.
is.
I
Does
love
it?
like beautiful containers.
Exactly. Go ahead. What else?
Yeah.
Any particular colors?
White, cream. Keep it simple.
Mhm. But you see how just you selecting that was a reflection of your tastes, your values. You lit up when you spoke about that.
Yeah.
And so the same way we talk about our passions, it is like that. When you select your goal, you select your vision, that intentionality that we spoke about is the beginning of the strategy. So the same way you select a candle is the same way you have to select your vision, your goal, what it is that you're choosing, right? So from the moment we choose, right? So the first step in burning bright is about selecting your candle, which is about making a choice, right? About what it is that you want to begin the journey of transformation with. Then it is about sparking your flame. And again, some candles, you could use a small little match and it can ignite. Sometimes you need a blowtorch. Sometimes you need to do it over and over again. That's just like us. There are different ways in which we ignite and in the ways in which we show up. And so paying attention to how you ignite is part of the process of burning bright. The
Mm.
next piece, the next stage is about maintaining the burn. Because once you've become ignited, right, to a vision, to a possibility for your life, for your business, momentum and maintaining that momentum is very key. How do you stay in motion? When you feel like, you know what, I don't feel like it today, I feel sad. Maybe you're remembering things that happened to you 5 years ago. So the way, maybe you're thinking about, oh my God, I'm fearful of what's coming. So maintaining and learning how to maintain positive momentum is also part of the process of burning bright. The fourth step or the fourth stage in this process is what we call harnessing the glow. Because there are times when you need to show up as the most roaring, powerful version of that flame. And there's times when you need to be a little bit more subdued. You need to maybe harness your energy. You need to tone it down, not because you don't feel that you should be roaring, but you're addressing and assessing what does the situation need? What is required of me in this moment? That is about harnessing your personal power. And then the fifth is all about burning bright, right? Letting it roar, because when you understand what you're up to, you know how to ignite, you know how to maintain the momentum, and you know how to harness. All that is left for you to do is truly show up and shine. And so this speaks about the way in which we go from the choice we make to the journey of fully accessing, activating, and showing up in our full potential. So that is the fundamental process of Burning Bright. But in addition to that, we have all these transformational frameworks that I teach that help you burn bright in terms of activating your leadership capacities, activating certain entrepreneurial business strategies, right? On TEDx, I spoke about a transformational strategy that was about inspired excellence. How do we use inspiration to achieve excellent results? At the United Nations, I spoke about women and our power, and that was the Rise and Shine framework. So there's the fundamental Burn Bright process or the Burn Bright methodology. And then there are all these transformational strategies that support my clients in reaching their desired reality.
That is so powerful. Oh my goodness.
And all this, but all of this is also founded. It's like, it's my fundamental stuff, but then there's been things like I'm a certified neurolinguistic practitioner. I do a lot of work with neurology, neuroscience and what's called brain-centric design. There's all the women's stuff. So you, as someone who is committed to this work of transformation and strategy, you start to plug in different ways of enhancing so you can hold your clients more responsibly. So that's why so many different types of people come to me, because they know I understand what it means to be an artist. I understand what it means to be an academic. I understand what it means to be a freedom fighter and, movement-based social entrepreneur. And then I also know what it's about to be like straight cash. Let's go. Let's get that abundance, which is important, because if you don't get that abundance up, you can't stay in business. So again, I get it. And so that is also a reason why, people do love the work that I do. And I'm so honored, and it's really been a journey, because I think that what people resonate with is that it is all based on your own unique capacities and honoring your inner glow and using that to help illuminate not only your own business and your world, but our world. Because part of this whole conversation, right, is that if every single one of us, including our businesses and what we create, are burning bright, we are supporting the illumination of our planet. And some would say of the universe, of the cosmos, like, right? We're lighting everything up, and it starts from you activating. It starts from you shining and contributing your gift, which is the emanation of that awareness of your unique capacities and how you wield them in the world.
Oh. I'm reminded of a good friend of mine who just recently, she told me this, and it really clicked for me, that every single day we're starting over. Every single day we have, as entrepreneurs, we have to make that commitment to ourselves to start to keep going, to do whatever's necessary to just keep moving forward. Mm-hmm. And I feel like with what you just talked about, the framework for this, that's such a great reminder, because on the days where it gets hard, when you don't feel like answering one more email, picking up the phone, when you're really starting to question, do I want to do this? Mm-hmm. You have to go back in and tap into, what is my passion? Yeah. Is this really my passion? And knowing how to spark, how to get going again, how to get the momentum, all of those things, those are the tools that you have to have in your tool belt for those days where it's hard.
Absolutely. And one of the key cornerstones of this, Burn Bright teachings is also something that I've been, from the moment I created it, which was around 2006, is this notion of what we call the future flame. And there's my logo is actually an image of that illuminated lotus, right? Yeah. So the future flame is actually the version of yourself that you already are, but that you are also in the process of falling in love with. Because when we talk about, I had a former flame, those old stories, the older women be like, I had a former flame and his name was Johnny and we went to the prom. You know what I mean? So there's always this I can't say the older ladies. I mean, every single one of us knows what it's like to have someone. I was just joking, like the movies, like a former flame, but somebody who you loved, somebody who you cared about, right? And there's a notion that, okay, there's the person the one that got away, but what is about the one that you're moving towards? Yeah. And so this idea about falling in love with yourself, the version of you that you already are and are also in the process of becoming. So the future flame is that vision of your identity amplified, that is also part of how you are journeying to develop in order to become that which you already are. Because the seeds of that version of you already exist. So you're not actually becoming something else. You are blossoming, you are emerging, you are unearthing and developing your capacities. And that to me is one of the most powerful things. So if we can actually be aware that there is this future version of ourselves that is already a part of who we are, that we are falling in love with every single day, even when it's most difficult. That future flame and the vision of that and the awareness of that is also a motivational tool that keeps you continuing to develop yourself and continuing to grow, because it's part of your legacy. The moment that you say, you know what, and this is not just about whether or not you're an entrepreneur, this framework was developed for all levels, right? And all systems and all desires. But I think that notion of vision is so important, because once we kind of get a whiff of it, like I always talk about, I do a great deal of creative visualization practices, because if you can truly begin to tap into it, even if you can't fully see it, but if you can begin to feel it, it will actually motivate you. It will move within your system. And then you will find that you have more resilience, you have more anti-fragility, you have more robustness. I'm using all of the terms that people are using right now for how do we work through some of the challenges we have. And anti-fragility is about, the capacity to get stronger the harder things get. Resilience is about the ability to withstand it. And robustness is like, I'm so strong, it can't even touch me. So it's not about one or the other. We need robustness, we need resilience, and we also need to develop our fragile capacities, especially during these times.
I'm so glad you mentioned that. I didn't want this series to focus too much on the current situation, but it's hard not to at the same time. But right before we got on, I actually listened to your live on your LinkedIn channel. And I listened to it twice because it was so good. But you said so many key things in there that I think regardless of COVID, regardless of quarantine, whatever's happening right now, it doesn't matter because we're going to be here again. Like, this is not the first time a global epidemic, pandemic has happened, and it's shaken us off our core. And it's going to happen again because there's always time to revisit, to change.
Mm-hmm.
What are some things you can share with us as people, as business owners, trying our best every single day to just do the do?
Mm-hmm.
How do we maintain that right now during a time where there's so much uncertainty?
Yeah, well, it's interesting you say that because, many people ask me this question, especially now. And what I did was I actually developed what I call a 3-part response framework for how we address these kinds of challenges. Okay. Um, And the first part is about rising up, right? Because if you're at that low level where you're taking in all of the information that doesn't serve you and you're getting so mired in the challenges of your day to day, you will be in like amygdala, what's known as amygdala hijack, right? Where you're in fight, flight, or freeze. And when the amygdala is not functioning properly, it cannot actually send the signal that's needed to the prefrontal cortex. So what happens is you basically get into that old version of the brain where you're not actually making the best decisions. We call it either you're in the what's known as the productive or the proactive, which is the prefrontal cortex, the ability to think things through, to strategize, or you're in kind of the reactive, or some would say destructive part of your energy, right? And so we want to make sure that we take the time, and they say about 90 seconds is what you need to give yourself the 90 seconds, and then, okay, rise up. Even I remember, because I used to work in the world of film. That was my first career, is sound mixing, boom operating, and I was a
Oh my
producer. Yes, so Sundance, I flew, and I was there, Sundance Filmmakers Lab. So I come from the whole creative world. So people are always like, "What haven't you done?"
I know.
But in the world of that, in the world of film and narrative, right? I've also produced a couple of short films, but you have a notion of booming up, right? You want the camera to boom up, because when it booms up, it transcends from one plane of reality to the next. So you yourself have to boom up, or what you may call spiral up. That is the first response, is to do what you can to raise your awareness or to raise your concerns to what is better than this. What is a higher vibration, as more of our spiritual conversation would say. But otherwise, just boom up. Get out of stop majoring in the minors for a moment and really just get a vantage point. And so that's the first response. And the second is what I call reimagine. So we rise up, and then from that vantage point, right, because there's so much more space here to envision, to contemplate, to explore. What could I do in my business? What is possible? Who could I collaborate with? So you allow yourself to begin to reimagine and reinterpret what could be possible in your business at this moment. And you take that awareness, right? That it's almost like you're doing your own personal ideation session. You can also do this collectively with your team of say, if we weren't concerned about this, let's all for a moment stop with the thoughts of what if, and the problems and the challenges, and let's just boom up. And now let's ask ourselves generative questions. Let's explore new possibilities. Are there new partnerships? Are there clients we haven't worked with before or that we haven't worked with in a long time? Are there new services? I mean, there's been so much innovation that's occurred, especially in this moment, but in any moment, there's so much we could be doing to innovate. And so that's the second part, right? Is to reimagine what's possible. And the third piece is to reinvent, right? And
Yeah.
when you do so, you reinvent the future, you reinvent the strategies that you may be doing in your business. You look at what you're currently doing, what can be done differently, or you look at things you haven't been doing and you say, okay, let's start doing that. And suddenly you have found yourself in a completely different domain of possibility. And that is what this is about. This is about each of us, no matter what time we're in, being a leader of possibility, identifying what it is that we are passionate about, what is our purpose, what's our mission, what's our vision, what do we value, and with passion and with purpose and commitment, being the pioneer of a new frontier. And that frontier is the possibility that you have selected. And you begin to gather your collaborators. You begin to chart new possibilities and go to new domains and new frontiers. It's like a whole new reality. You have to think of yourself like the pioneer who is now excavating new lands, new realities. It's like Star Trek. You're boldly going where you haven't gone before.
Yes.
Even if someone else has gone and done it, they haven't done it the way you will do it.
Exactly.
They haven't lived the reality that you bring to it. And so really becoming aware that you have the invitation always to become and to be fully a leader of possibility. And that is every single morning. So when you wake up, you say, okay, which new possibilities are we going to pioneer today?
Ozioma, you were amazing. I just got to tell you. Oh my goodness. Gosh. Okay. We're wrapping up. What are the final words, the takeaways you want to leave us with? What piece of gold can we tweet? Can we hang on our vision board?
I would say that to me, the biggest, I wrote a book called The Master Plan Method. And to me, that process has been the biggest gift that I can give everyone. Even if they don't go and buy my book, it's about identifying what is that story? What is that narrative that you would like to live into? And then selecting the theme that is going to guide you and guide the development of how you become that which you seek to become. And to me, that is the biggest gift, knowing your story, knowing the story and becoming the protagonist in that story. And understanding, right?
Yeah.
That as you are the protagonist of the narrative that is emerging from within you and all around you, that you are invited to not just be an ordinary being, but to truly, 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 fully embrace your extraordinary. Fully embrace it. There was another, recently my auntie, I'm originally from Nigeria, born in Nigeria, raised in New York, now living in Lisbon. And my auntie the other day, she was like, yeah, your brother kind of says, Ozioma thinks she's all that. And I said, I am. And so are you. I said, have you ever met anyone like me? No. Have you really met anyone like you? No. What's wrong with being special?
Yes.
What's wrong with being
Yes.
special? You're special. I'm special. The only difference is you think I shouldn't know that I'm special because you don't want to acknowledge that you're special. And if you don't want to acknowledge that you're special, that's your problem. It's not my problem that you're angry that I know I'm special. Because guess what? Me knowing it gives me permission to be it, to be what I already am, not trying to become something that I'm not, and to be what you are. And by me being it, it gives you permission and it reminds you for you to be your own version of it. And that is what it means to burn bright. To fully be in possession of this thing that you are, this being that you are. and truly harness the power of that energy and use it as the guiding force, the guiding framework, the invitation over and over and over again. And that is how we transform the world. But if every single one of us is holding back on our gifts, if every single one of us is saying, no, 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 I'm not ready yet, I'm not ready yet, when are you going to be ready? And again, it's an open invitation. And the conversation is between you and life itself. That's what I always say to people. You are having a conversation with life itself. Whether you believe in Allah, God, whatever you believe in, there is also this conversation that is just life itself. If you believe in nothing, you are still having a conversation with life itself. And you have so much more power to determine the nature of how you dance with it, how you show up with it, how you converse with it. But acknowledging that you are special is a key force in that in what determines how that conversation goes.
You just took us to church. Amen. Yes. Yes. Oh my goodness. I have nothing more to say.
Well, I thank you, Brandy, for this opportunity just to share, because I think, these are messages that, maybe you've heard them before. You've probably never heard them the way that I'm particularly framing them, because I've never heard anyone speak about it in the way that I do. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm all that. I'm just saying, and I've studied a great deal because I have so much honor for the teachers,
Yeah.
Yanla, Dr. Jean Houston I've taught with, Beckwith is amazing. The list goes on and on. Marianne Williamson is a goddess. Joe Dispenza. There's so many, right?
Yes.
There's so many. Les Brown, legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, this is something that if you take it in and you take it seriously, my mentor, one of my favorite teachers, Debbie Ford, used to say, if you take this on, if you fully take this on, you will become unrecognizable to yourself. Who I am today is unrecognized. It was kind of like, it was a desire to kind of want to be more of this person, but she fundamentally has the kernel, but it just is now growing and flourishing because I've been in constant communication with this energy and with this belief. And also, even when I go down, I have the memory, the imprint is there. Right. The neural circuits are there. And that's something that is important that we need to talk about, is also about the importance of creating these neural circuits that support our ability to move forward. There's something called the reticular activating system.
Yes.
As you know, right? The more it'll confirm your belief. Whatever you believe, it'll give you evidence in reality that it exists. Mm-hmm. And so building up the positive belief systems that support our ability to look out in the world and to see more of possibility is also important. And I'll stop right there. But there is so much more. She's like, no, keep going. I'm like, oh my God, now I'm getting into my neuroscience world. But I also think it's important, right? We can go spiritual, we can go neuroscience, we can go business, straight heart strategy. It's all there for us.
Right. And they all work so beautifully together. I mean, to me, it really shouldn't be either or.
I agree.
It needs to be a blend.
I agree. And your ability to cross these systems actually empowers you to be a stronger entrepreneur as well as a more developed person. When you look at the work of Ken Wilber, right? Integral theory, talking about all quadrants, all levels, right? So this idea of we have to be able to see the individual and the connection with the larger story. And the more that you can see it from the spiritual, from the maybe the academic, from the layman's terms, from the neurological perspective, from the, it allows you actually to be able, it's almost like decoding the matrix, because you start to see reality and the stuff of it. What is it really made of? And the more lenses you bring into it, the more you can hold space for others, the more you can actually be even more powerful with what you write, how you speak. So when I'm speaking, the resonance comes from the wisdom and the multiple levels that exist, as well as what is naturally here. And so it's important for all of us, especially as entrepreneurs, become a scholar of entrepreneurship. Really study this stuff. Yes, there's, the brass tacks and your layman tactics of what you learn in practice, but there also is an educational component that I believe every entrepreneur should really educate themselves on what entrepreneurship really is, and then evolve their own practice of it. Because entrepreneurship to me is a spiritual practice. It's a rites of passage, just like anything else.
Yes.
The challenge is that most entrepreneurs don't realize it's what they're getting into. And they're like,
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, and educating yourself could be in books, in podcasts, and getting a coach, mentors, the people that you
Absolutely.
surround yourself with,
Absolutely.
constantly
Absolutely.
just up leveling.
Up leveling. And more than even just up, not even more. And in addition to up leveling, it's also a deepening because you're finding that there's so many entrepreneurs, especially in the social media marketing world. Oh, up level, next level, next level. But it's like next level and deepen, next level and deepen.
Mhm.
As you go to the next level, deepen the vessel of your being, deepen the vessel of your awareness. Because if all you're doing is trying to get to the next level, you're more focused on just getting on top of people and being on top of things than you are really about getting deep within yourself. So it's about both. Yes, rise, move to the next level, but also deepen your awareness, deepen your compassion, deepen as much as you can so that you are fully aligned, able to go deep and able to also rise above it all. And I'll stop there.
Oh my goodness. Okay, one more question.
Okay.
Because this is the Passionpreneur series, I gotta ask, have you found your passion?
Oh
Is
my
this your
God.
passion?
Yes, yes. So to me, my passion is transformation. And
Yeah.
so whether it's, the work that I did in the city of Newburgh, where I gave up left my corporate world and was like a community civic innovation change agent doing all this work, that was also part of transformation. The work that I did when I first came to Lisbon, working with startups and entrepreneurship of that nature, that was also transformation. The work during the the United Nations time, that was transformation. So to me, my passion is helping people identify their ideas, their goals, their dreams, their vision, and being able to make that a reality. And transformation, continuous transformation, is part of that process. And that's also why, that development of an initiative called World Dream Day, which
Yeah.
takes place on September 25th every year, that is like a global celebration of dreams in action, setting the dreams in motion, taking action in the process is so transformative. So to me, that is what my passion is, transformation. And I'm just so honored and grateful that I have found so many different ways to dance with that dream.
You definitely have. And still so much more to do.
Oh
So
my
many more
gosh,
places
yes.
to go with this. Gosh. Ozioma, thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. This has been the most impactful interview for me. And I know it has been for our audience. I love you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been my pleasure. And again, I just look forward to you guys finding me on the different channels, definitely taking part of some of the transformational frameworks that I've created for you to download, joining the mailing list, and if you feel moved to have a conversation with me and working together, definitely, use that link to schedule the Strategic Evolution Exploratory so that we can explore. Maybe there's a strategic transformation that you would like to engage in, and I would love to support you.
You guys, do not let this opportunity pass you by. Seriously. As soon as this is over, you're going to receive an email and it'll have all the ways you can connect with Ozioma. Her website, social handles, as well as links directly to sign up for the evolutionary call, for the not the printouts, the
Yeah.
downloads.
Yes, the goal strategy framework downloads, and also to be able to
Exactly.
join the Strategic Evolution newsletter, the list. Yes. So that, because again, I get so much information and I share it in so many different places, and I love sharing it within that ritual of sending out a list so that people can truly have the centralized resources in one place.
I love that. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Seriously. You are a beautiful human being.
Oh, thank you so much. And you too. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of the Passionpreneur series. I hope and I know that this has truly hit home for you. And as always, I value your feedback, your comments. You know where to find me online, social media. Also, send me an email, drop me a line. Thank you so much again for tuning in. And Ozioma, have a beautiful, beautiful evening. And we will definitely be talking soon.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank
Bye.
you, everyone.